Alright, y'all, I'm right back. Let's talk about the Mal and Rory response. Called out. Name this response later on. So as we all know, Mal went on a rant, said he fired them fools, that they disrespectful, he pissed off and all of that. Mal and Rory gave a response to Vimo to explain their side of the story. Number one, Mal and Rory. Okay, let me see. Where do I want to start it? I started this. Mal and Rory said that they verbally, and it possibly was written, but I believe so far mainly verbally, excuse me, while it was small, the podcast, and they were starting out, and Joe brought them on and discussed business with them, that they were going to be percentage based, right? And this is how I look at it. The way that Rory and Mal explained what the situation was as far as their contract with him, and what Joe explained, I believe Joe technically isn't lying about them not being partners. They weren't his partner. In a sense of it was even splits. Mal and Rory are actually backing that it wasn't just an even split, but it was percentage based. So they basically was in a situation where they weren't equal partners with him. Joe was their boss. But they weren't necessarily just salary employees, right? They were percentage based. Meaning, Joe agreed to pay each of them a certain percentage off whatever came in. So if $100 came in, let's say that their percentage was 30%. If $100 came in, that means they got $30 off of it. If $1,000 came in, then that means they got $300 off of it. That's what it would be like if their percentage was 30% of earnings, right? And that's not partner. It's just not salary. So I believe that's a point for Joe. Joe isn't lying about them not being partners. And they possibly, though, felt in their mind that having a percentage and not being salary made them partners, possibly. I don't know. But then, let's go into this, right? Even though they weren't partners, the fact that they are percentage based means they have a right to see what the money is. They got a right to see that because they're getting paid off what the money is. If they was on salary, which means you just get this no matter how much we get, and they can see that somewhat is a protection on having salary, because it means no matter what work is done or not done, you getting this. The bad part of being on salary means even if you do more, there's no such thing as overtime, right? So salary has its flaws and has its good. But anyway, so the fact that they were on percentages, they have a right to see what the numbers are. Now, this is what I look at. They don't have a right to see Joe's contracts. They don't. They have a right to see what the network, not even a network, because it was only based off the Joe Budden podcast. So like, see, the thing is, they don't have a right to look at the whole network's earnings, because it has, see, the thing is, it has girl something. I don't know that one, but it has that one. It has pull up under it. It has all of that, right? They don't get a right to look at that spreadsheet on what the entire network is bringing in. But they do have the right to say, okay, we did this live show in Denver. How much did we bring in for that? Because that's how they know their percentage. But, as Joe stated, right, so that's a point for them. They have a right to see books on what the Joe Budden podcast is doing, not the network. They don't have a right to see what Joe Budden's contracts are. Those are different things, what your contract is versus for this showing or for this quarter of the Joe Budden podcast episodes, what was brought in. But one of the things that Joe mentioned, which is true, is no, I will show you what we brought in after overhead has been paid out. And this is how they not partners. They don't pay overhead. But how how do you describe it? Okay, because you got to pay parts, the engineer, you got to pay Savon, you got cameraman, production, whoever catered, the caterer with the budget for that, travel expenses, all of the like. So it's a lot of overhead, venue prices, right? Because they're paying for that room that they do the podcast in, and if they do live shows, they're paying for that. After the deductions of all staff being paid, based off what is left, then they will get their percentage based off that. So I agree with Joe there. Now, Joe mentioned you can end up, because Maul mentioned you can end up, how am I ending up with the same amount for a show that had 4,000 in the audience as the same show that had 2,500 in the audience, right? And I understand him, because I would be wondering that too. No, why am I getting the same amount? And this is where I agree with Mon and Rory. Yeah, Joe wanted them on salary. He did not want to pay them percentage. And that's probably because he didn't totally look at what overhead would be and other expenses and stuff like that. I think that Joe, while money wasn't there, did agree to say, yeah, I'll best pay y'all this percentage, right? It's easy to make these claims when you don't have as much overhead, when money ain't coming in yet and stuff like that. It's easy to agree to anything at that point, right? Money start coming in, and I believe that even if it wasn't Joe, I know his lawyer and management would definitely be the ones to tell him, why did you make that agreement? That ain't in writing, or let's shift the writing. No, they going on salary. I don't think that that's wrong. I think what's wrong is how Joe might have chose to go about it. Because if I would have reworked it, if it was me in that situation, I would have possibly reworked that contract too. Like, oh, hold on, we got to come back to the table. You're going on salary. So I understand Joe wanted to switch him to salary. As a business, his lawyer and management would not be good lawyers or management if they didn't tell him, like, put them on salary. The thing is, he did try and go about it a scurvy way to put them on salary, which they somewhat allowed. And I'm going to tell you how. As time was going on, Joe and his management or his lawyer, his accountant, just start paying them, Rory and Maul, a certain amount instead of giving them percentage. I do think that possibly happened. And they ain't bring it up and tell them we was doing it. They just started doing it, right? I believe Rory and Maul seen it. Like, okay, they just paying us the same amount. But they let it slide and let it ride, even though they knew, no, I'm supposed to be getting a percentage. And they allowed it to go on for too long. So by the time that they came to try and bucket, accountants, lawyers, and management, and Joe Budden, like, no, you salary. That's what we've been paying you. We've been paying you salary. Or Joe, well, no, because they saying that he was lying to them. Basically telling them, like, no, this your percentage. That's how much it is. But that's not, I mean, it's obvious now at this point, based off what both of them said, that ain't what happened. They wanted to switch it to salary. They switched it to them on salary without their consent. Rory and Maul accepted getting just a salary until they didn't want to accept it anymore. And then things blew up. How they could possibly still end up with the same amount, but it wouldn't be all the time anyway, being paid off percentage is right. If you're doing a 3,000 people come in, but the venue costs a certain amount, who overhead for that venue was a certain amount. Let's say it was right there in New York, right? Versus y'all go and do 5,000 at a venue that's in Los Angeles. Now it is more price going out as far as overhead, because we had to pay for travel expenses. We had to pay for being set up in a room. New York, that was in our own backyard. We didn't have to pay too much to get there. Let's say I had to connect with the venue, anything. But now we in Los Angeles. Venues cost more in Los Angeles. Well, no, New York is a high price state too, I believe. But I believe Los Angeles, and no, Los Angeles isn't the highest. I think it's San Francisco that they say is the wealthiest state, like, or the highest to live in. Anyway, I'm not sure about all that. But let's just say in Los Angeles, now we had to pay for planes to get all of our crew there. That's more money versus just having to pay for a car for them to get from Jersey to Queens. You get what I'm saying? So a hotel room, we have to pay them on hotel room service or eating out. We have to pay for meals. Then we have to pay to be able to get to that venue, cars for that and all that. So it could cost more going out, and you end up with basically the same pay from that New York show that had more people versus the Los Angeles show where the expenses for it were different. So I give Joe credit for that, but I'm rolling with Raw and Maul and Rory. They were paying them off salary, not percentage. They had probably stopped paying them off percentage 2-3 years ago, and they had switched it to salary. And they was glad, like, okay, they quietly accepting it. They ain't saying nothing. Cool, we good. They salary. We slid it in there a few months. They accepted it. Good. Then they went into saying they want to audit. Maul, I believe it is, said that Joe is the one who brought up auditing him. And they turned around and decided, cool, we will do that then. Because I was thinking, like, that's some real snake stuff to try and audit your friend who gave you a seat at the table. But we now realize that that was totally different, and I believe now they will have the right since they started paying them off salary instead of percentage like they were supposed to get. But then we have Maul talking about that he was upset. Oh, Maul was funny talking about Joe and has talking about he changed and switched up and stuff. Yes, Joe has changed and switched up. Joe had reached heights, was being looked at and favored by people who he never had the attention, who he could never get in the room with before, who possibly didn't like him before, which they still don't like him now. I hope you know that. What Nikki said, there ain't no friends in the game. You don't learn that yet. You see how they all just turned on her on that hate train in the business, right? As long as it's sanctioned for you to be in, they will deal with you, work with you. You part of the fold. Once you're not, you're not. And you going against Biggs' baby brother, Biggs is on your ass, Joe. He's the one who put eyes on that Olivia Dope situation and told her to come and make this video. Just so you know. You're not protected anymore. You're pissed off the wrong people. That's why you got to be careful. For Joe, yes, Maul falls under him. On the friendship level, no, they are equal. But on the business level, Maul and Rory fall under him. And I think he forgot, like, or began looking at them as little, right? He started getting that Diddy complex because that's how Diddy look. If you ain't making as much money as Diddy or as powerful as him, then he feel that you beneath him. He can treat you any kind of way until he get checked by someone that's on his level that let him know, no, yeah, they under you, but I'm backing them. You can't get away with that. And that's what happened. Joe felt, these dudes under me, they ain't really doing nothing. Forgetting they got connections to people who's over you. Biggs is over you. Jay-Z is over you. Rock Nation is over you. And I think that due to the fact that Joe Budden basically lost his covering because Maul was your connection and possibly protection from that. But then you done severed ties with Maul. And now they say, oh, we're not letting that rock. You think you can do him any kind of way, do him dirty? We got the power to do you dirty. So Biggs and them behind this Olivia Dope situation. But anyway, so Maul had mentioned that Joe said, I got the line around the corner. And he took offense to that. First off, I look at that two ways, but with the same viewpoint about it. Him singling out himself saying, I got the line wrapped around the corner, I don't think was narcissistic. I think it was just an eye-opening, like you say, appreciative moment of him thinking like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh crap, I got the line wrapped around the corner. First off, Joe Budden is the face of the Joe Budden podcast. So that's not narcissistic or wrong for him to say, I have the line wrapped around the corner. Y'all are basically supporting cast. If you look at a movie, what do they say? They say lead role is this person. And supporting cast, the star of this show is this person. The rest are supporting cast. The star of the Joe Budden podcast, the face of the Joe Budden podcast, the owner of the Joe Budden podcast is Joe Budden. So yes, he has the line wrapped around the corner. He can say I. And that doesn't devalue y'all to say that y'all did not contribute. But y'all can say I. If y'all even said it, I still won't have no problem with that. So, but now, on the other hand, where I look at it as Joe is perfectly right in saying I, and if it was a situation of him looking at it like, no, me, myself, and I feel like this. Joe Budden had a 20-year career in rap, in TV, not in TV, okay, I'll say he had a 20-year career in rap. He had already been on Love and Hip Hop before, right? So then he started doing pull-ups, Everyday Struggle. Joe is the one who has been bringing fans. He had brought fans to it from the minute that he was on it. Those who was following him from his rap career, right? He had been on Love and Hip Hop before. They're going to come and give eyes to him. That's bringing another place of eyes to him. He started doing Everyday Struggle. That's bringing more eyes to him. He did Pull Up. That's bringing more eyes to him. He did State of Culture. That's bringing eyes to him. He is the one who has rallied up and bringing eyes. Okay, Rory and Mal, y'all done did Masterclass before. Okay, that could have brought a few eyes. That didn't bring as many as the Love and Hip Hop, Pull Up, Everyday Struggle, and his rap career brought. Rory, I don't know what else you could have done that brought eyes to it, but what eyes have y'all brought to it? Y'all are supporting cast. And that's the other reason why I agree with Joe. If it was me in that situation, like I said, any good lawyer would advise and say, no, you are the star of this show. You're the face of this show. You definitely should make more. This isn't it's only a partnership in the sense of, yes, you are coming on board of my train and you are helping it to run. But I already bought the train, already on the track, already have it in gear moving. Are you aiding and giving it momentum? Yes, that's what you're here for. You should be. And if you ain't, then you dead weight, get off my train. So that's just how I look at it. If Rory and Mal don't want to be honest with themselves about being employees, no, y'all were employees. That's why y'all ain't sitting on there now. Y'all were percentage based. It wasn't even splits. That even more confirms that y'all were employees. Y'all were not partners or had ownership in this. The other thing is, y'all did not have a name to draw an audience from anywhere. Joe gave y'all an audience when he brought y'all on board. He already had the audience. And then as the train was moving, he went other places and brought more eyes and more of an audience. Not y'all. I think that the Joe Budden podcast can go on without Rory and Mal. I think Ish and Ice are great. And the reason why that is because Joe is a star. We watch TV shows all the time, right? You watch TV shows where they change certain characters, supporting cast. The star's still there, though. And, yeah, it could take some adjustment getting used to, or it might make you fall back on it because you're like, oh, no, I like the old setup. I'm loyal to what that was. This feels different, so I'm out, right? Which is cool. That's fine to do. But you also get new eyes that come in from this new lineup and setup, right? That's late to the train, but it's finally passing them, and they see it, they're hopping on. So I feel that it can go on without them. I think the only reason in this situation that could possibly cause it for a moment to lose momentum, or should I say lose old viewers, even though it's going to still bring on new viewers anyway, is the fact that these aren't people reading the script, right? This isn't acting. These are people, real relationships, having real disputes that is in our face. So it's easy for us to feel their emotion behind it, favor what they have to say, and get in our feelings about it, and make a decision to say, I'm not supporting without these particular people being there. I'm not in that place. My position stands on it. I wish it could have worked out for all three of them to stay together. It didn't. I like Ish and Ice. I'm there for Joe. I came for Joe. Everything that has ever went pretty much viral concerning the Joe Budden Network, Joe Budden podcast, which brought more eyes, was things Joe had to say. It was Joe on the camera. Think about the Taxstone. Oh, right, that wasn't his podcast, but still, that's another example. Joe Budden is the one who went on Taxstone and brought himself more eyes to the Joe Budden podcast. But Joe Budden went on a rant about what's that dude name? What is that dude name? Drake. Joe Budden, the one who ran on a rant about Drake and got views and eyes to come back to his podcast. Joe Budden is the one who pissed Nicki off, had the hot takes on that, and brought eyes and views back to the podcast. Brought Nicki back to the podcast, not Marlon and Rory. Yeah, I know they got their little Zelda connect and all that, but even those who have came and sat on the couch when they've done interviews with them, it was still even more so Joe Budden who got those people there, not Marlon and Rory. So they do not bring enough to the table to call themselves wanting to say we're partners. They check out of what's going on a podcast once they leave that couch, that room. Joe Budden is the one who still has to have his wheels spinning on what's next week's show gonna look like, what the topic's gonna be, who can we get on, what can we address. That's Joe Budden. That's not Marlon and Rory. Okay? So that's just my take on that. Anything else that they were saying? Yeah, Joe Budden, Marlon is definitely right. Joe Budden has switched up. He's in a position he's never been in before. He got more eyes on him than he's ever had before. He's got connections now that he didn't have before, and he is definitely in the P. Diddy school book. You know what I'm saying? P. Diddy, the actions that I'm seeing emulated by Joe Budden are a P. Diddy trait. P. Diddy is a narcissist. P. Diddy looks at people as being under and beneath him, that he can treat any kind of way and stuff like that. That's how P. Diddy is. We know that Joe Budden admires Puff Daddy. I think it's more so just his business. Let me not say business, right? Because we know Diddy done did some bad business. But I'm just saying in the sense of his success. I think that Joe Budden admires and respects his success, as well as his art, his craft. Because Diddy isn't a rapper, but he still is an artist in the music industry who has made great and dope work, has had longevity and stuff like that. So I think that is what Joe admires and sees in Diddy. I think that he's blinded to the other stuff and happy to be in a room with him. Because if you pay attention to who Joe Budden seems to admire, especially in this stage, is all those who have been successful in business, longevity, and truly are a creative and what was I about to say? I can't think of the other word. But Jay-Z, who's also ruthless, whether y'all know it or not. In business, you kind of have to be a shark to a degree. But Jay-Z's, I think, is just done more cleaner than what Diddy's is. And I think Jay-Z is better at being charismatic and playing his humble bag than what Diddy is. And more tamed and strategic than what Diddy is. That's why I say the difference between them and their success and how they did business to get to where they are. Jay-Z is still a shark and ruthless in business. He's just smarter and more cleaner on how he does it, where Diddy is not. But you have them two. You have Birdman. You have Master P. These are all elite men in the business who went on to do other things, keep success and money coming in, and build an empire. That is what Joe wants to do and is trying to do. Of course, he's going to see them and pull from them and ignore the rest, because his goal and focus on what he needs to absorb from them is, how did you get here? What formula did you use? And of course, he was trying to emulate that. I think where Joe screwed himself in the foot is overexcitement, overplaying his hand to a degree, which I'm very proud of Joe of where he's gotten. He's only been growing and only been doing more and more, and he has been making great strategic moves. Just when this personal situation popped up and you showed a overplayment of your hand and showed ego in that, it looked and came off the wrong way, since they were your friends. And the public don't know how you have to disassociate business from friendship and family. Where, yeah, we can be friends and family all day. We doing business. And right now we talking about my dollar, not our friendship. Right now we talking about your work ethic, not our friendship. And everybody can't handle that reality of it. Because if you trying to do business based off emotion, feelings, and relationships, you not going to do well. You ain't going to get fired. I'll tell you that. Because if you too afraid to have to say, yeah, mom, I'm firing you because you're mishandling the books, because you showing up late every day, because you not being respectful, you not earning what you get. Oh, I need to demote you. Oh, then your business not going to get fired. Because you're going to sit there and turn a blind eye to your mom fucking up. Let's say not good at customer service, turning customers off, getting bad Yelp reviews, and you sitting there on the basis of, but that's my family, we got a relationship, so I'm not firing her. No, it don't work like that. You better fire your damn mom. That's why, if I had a business, I wouldn't even hire my mom. Flat out, I'm not hiring you. Because, right, I don't want to get in the way of our relationship, because I'm going to deal with you on business when we dealing with business, not you being my mom. And that is what Joe has done and did with Rory and Ma. And Rory and Ma want to use the, we friends, we have this personal relationship bag. And Joe is in the, no, this is my business. This is a business bag. And y'all are looking at it with a Rory and Ma or some sentimental stuff, when feelings and relationships have no place in business. The only time you should be doing business based off your feelings is if you're feeling really, really good about this endeavor. That's the only time feelings should be involved in business. So I want y'all to think about that. Think about the fact that it's business. And y'all can't be mad at Joe for handling business at business time. Why? And choose Rory and Ma, who want to skate off of, no, but sentimental, friends, partners. No. Either you pulling your weight, you getting the job done, you best for the business, or you're not. Either you going to accept the pay, the contract I have to offer you, or you're not. Because it's that simple. Yes, you can try and help family out if they willing to do business how you set up the business, want to do business, running your business. Other than that, no. I'm not about to let a friend or a family member come into my business and my vision of what I plan for it, trying to tell me what they think they should do and get and be able to not do and have because we friends, because we family. No, get the fuck out of here. These two separate lanes. Y'all need to realize that's two separate lanes. Joe ain't did shit wrong other than try to push them into salary knowing that they weren't under the guise of being on salary at that time. That's the only thing he did wrong. But if I was a lawyer or a manager, or if I had a lawyer or a manager, that's what they would be advising me to do. I would have asked Joe to do the same thing. Nah, slide them dudes salary. We switching them to salary. Big corporations and businesses do it all the time. Your job, trust me, they done it. No, we changing this up. We what you call it? Trying to meet a quota of profit. No, they got to take cuts, demotions. Let's bring in a temp, pay them 10 times less. It's business. That's what's best for the business. But anyway, so give me y'all guys' thoughts. Rory brought up being cursed out anytime he mentioned anything. Because what I want y'all to give me y'all thoughts about is about the business aspect. How are y'all choosing how y'all feel about this situation with Rory, Joe, and Ma based off feelings and relationships? Or is it based off business? So, Rory also brought up, talking about he was getting cursed out anytime he brought up the books. They brought up a $400 mistake. I mean, $400,000 mistake. To be honest, that's above my pay grade. I don't know how you make a $400,000 mistake. So what I was thinking, well, it can happen. Y'all remember the government has even made mistakes like that, putting $1 million in a person's account and all this. So yeah, the mistakes happen. You're only human. There can be clerical error. That's possible. But what I was thinking what happened with that when he said it was a $400K discrepancy is the accountants, everyone has known this, accountants move numbers around. And normally it's to skim off everybody to put money in their own pocket, right? Accountants normally steal money. That's why they always say have two accountants. Another accountant to watch the first accountant. because they steal. They're the ones handling all the money. The accountant know what Joe made before Joe know. The accountant know what the network made before Ian knows. You get what I'm trying to say? So, no, them accountants, they be stealing. And it don't even be the owner. They be stealing from the owners of stuff. Like, no, they do that. So, it could have been an accountant scaving off money for themselves. It could have been an accountant scaving off extra money to put in Joe's bag to keep eyes off him, or to be, if Joe would consent to it or was willing to turn around and they get a bigger bag, right? Like, okay, I'm going to scuff money around. I'm about to steal something from myself. But to keep eyes off me, or to at least get it to where if the owner finds out I'm good, okay, well, I wasn't just putting more money in my pocket. I put more money into yours, too. You get what I'm saying? So, the accountant could have been stealing for themselves. The accountant could have been stealing larger amounts to put more into Joe's bag to keep Joe happy and not looking or paying attention, to keep Ian not looking or paying attention, so they could take more money for themselves. It's a lot of different things that could have went on. Joe could have went and told the accountant, hey, these are what you better give out for there, and take this other money and put it here. So it's a lot of ways that a $400K mistake could have came up. If a $400K mistake came up, yeah, and I noticed that, I'll be asking for it. Give me the breakdown every month of what every episode that went out for this Joe Budden podcast, so I can get my correct percentage. But Rory and Ma should have nipped that in the bud from the beginning. Do not do business based off being friends or family, and not want to ruffle feathers. Don't. They should have said the minute that they got a payment or something that didn't look right, they should have went then either to their lawyer, or to Joe, or to both, or to Joe lawyer, they lawyer, and Joe, or whatever. And when they say, hey, we supposed to be our percentage, this number don't look right to me, show me how this number makes sense, and going forward every month, which they should have already been getting, you're going to give me a breakdown of what our live shows and our episodes made after overhead has been paid. But see, even then, accountant can shuffle numbers to cheat and make overhead more than what it was. So that's what I'm saying. It's like they should have never did a percentage deal like that anyway. Yeah, that wasn't smart. That wasn't, yeah. Not being partners and doing percentage. Yeah. But anyway, so, I don't know. I don't really remember everything else that they talked about going on. I just know it's unfortunate, but I'm fine. Oh, and you see how Rory and Ma wanted to make sure that Ice and Ish knew that Joe wanted to get them on salary, and that Joe can pay them less than them. Now, well, number one, that's common sense. Ish and Ice ain't been there as long as Rory and Ma. They ain't brought the audience that's already there. They ain't brought the deals that's already there. Of course, they not about to come in and get paid what y'all getting paid anyway, while y'all trying to throw salt and ice to bring a wedge between Ish, Ice, and Joe to make Ish and Ice feel distrustful of Joe, or feel like they're being cheated, because they're not. They have not brought in any deals. They ain't brought in no audience. The pod is where it's at. They shouldn't get the same pay as you